welcome to Showreel. I'm Tony Pankaluik, and we have an exciting show for you today. We will take a look at some of the latest big screen movies and also have a chat about some noteworthy topics that have arisen recently in the film industry. Co-hosting me is the lovely Lauren Peacock.
Thank you, Tony. To begin today's episode, we have a very special guest, the very fascinating Michael James joining us. Michael is currently hosting QTV, Queensland's only lesbian, gay, bisexual and transgender television show. Thank you so much for sparing some time and coming in, Michael.
Thank you very much for having me.
Now, you're hosting QTV. How did you come across this role?
Well, it was being widely spoken about, I suppose. There was lots of people in the community had heard that the project was underway and they were putting auditions out, and I heard that they were happening, so I contacted Steve, the producer, and I said, "Hey, I'm very interested in doing that. Or would you like to have me?" So I came along and met Steve, and he seemed to think I was one of the right men for the job, and so it was.
So how important is it, like, for the gay and lesbian community to have a show like this going on?
I suppose it's really, really important, particularly in the last 2 years, where we've seen a fairly strong political focus against GLBTIQ rights in Queensland, and being able to give our community a voice and also to educate the rest of the community about those sorts of issues. So, for example, we are advertised as a GLBTIQ program because we really want to make sure that we're actually tapping into all those letters of the rainbow, which is gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgender, intersex and questioning. So there's a whole lot of different people that identify differently from that standard sexual norm, and it's really about giving them representation and being able to speak for them and be able to speak to the wider heterosexual community so that they can gain a better understanding. And so in that regard, it's really, really important.
And so what's your favourite part of this job?
All of it. I mean, it's really great being able to get and sit on the couch once a week and be able to talk to our community and let them know what's happening, and to be able to get out there and provide information to people who didn't already know about things, and to be able to really uncover more information about topics that people weren't always aware of. We've got some great episodes coming up around transgendered people, around gay families as well, and we'll be doing some political and religious episodes as well. So it's quite topical and it's quite controversial, and I love getting into the dirt of those sorts of things.
Do you have any other projects or roles that you're getting into the moment outside of your QTV?
I do lots of things. Yeah. I've had a lot of things on the go for quite a while. Most notably, I run a gay radio show that happens as 3 times a week. So we record live on Thursdays on Switch 1197, and Switch re-airs that on Sunday nights at 10 o'clock. The Thursdays is at 8, sorry. And we also syndicate across to 4ZZZ on Monday nights at 8 p.m. as well. So I do Gay Savvy, I do QTV, and I do a lot of other minor presenting projects and other little acting stuff in the works. And I'm in talks to star in a documentary at the moment, so waiting to hear about that.
Nice.
Busy. Do you have a role model or someone who really inspires you?
I mean, there's a lot of people that I look up to and a lot of people that really inspire me. If you're looking at inspiration, I think I look to the person beside me. My partner Anthony is a very big inspiration in helping me to just move forward and keep working towards my goals and my dreams. When you look at role models, there's a lot of great people, I suppose, historically and currently. We're looking currently in the media. I think I look at someone like Charlie Pickering, and I see what he does in terms of his ability to present and inform and engage and do it so passionately and so well, and I really look up to him. When you look at advocacy and people like that, someone like Harvey Milk is a beautiful role model, and he's someone I really look up to.
Like, when you were a kid, did you sort of envision yourself doing this sort of thing? Like, did you get inspiration from something as a kid?
Not really. Yeah. As a kid, sort of in primary school, I decided I wanted to be a teacher.
Oh, yeah.
And that was where I was going to go. Yeah. And as it is, I'm a qualified teacher at the moment, and I've taught once or twice. But I never expected that I'd be doing so much work in media and be building towards a steady career there.
Is there any advice that you would have given back to a 12-year-old you back in the day?
Yeah, I would say never let anybody tell you that you can't do anything, because anything is possible.
Do you have any other sort of hidden talents, apart from being a really good host, singing or?
Sadly, no. I have no singing ability whatsoever. I consider myself quite a good performer, but hidden talents, freaky things. I have really weird double-jointed fingers. I can
Oh.
something like that. That's the best I've got. But yeah, I'm not a particular hidden talent person. I get everything out there. Everybody knows what I can do. So,
So, Michael, if you could choose anyone in the world that you could co-host with, who would you have with you on your show?
I've mentioned him before, and I'd probably have to have one or both of them if I could. But I'd probably say Charlie Pickering and/or Chrissy Swan. I think they're great. Chrissy's just lovely, and she's vibrant, and she's real, and she just taps into the reality of people's lives, and she does it so well. She'd be great to work with and co-host with. And then Charlie as well, for just that really serious journalism mixed with humour and great presentation skills. They would be a great pair to work with.
If you were put in the scenario, what kind of show would you make it about, like with those people? Would you make like a comedy show or?
Yeah, I think it'd be really sort of entertainment meets politics meets family life. It would be with those two, it would be a strong balance of that. It would be great.
Yeah.
So just jumping back to QTV, regarding the non-gay and lesbian community, what do you want them to get out of your show?
I want them to understand. I want them to know that we are just like you. There's no difference. We're not freaks. There's nothing unholy or unnatural about us. We are real people who have real lives and real issues. We are families. We're mothers, fathers, doctors, lawyers, teachers, brothers, sisters, mothers. And people can watch the show and they can understand that. They can find out things they didn't already know and be better educated. And once they're able to understand, then they'll be able to also advocate for and stand up and really be able to take a stand and go, you know what, like when we're looking at things like gay marriage, I understand that these people aren't any different and I can't see why they shouldn't be able to get married as well.
Yeah, it's definitely, you've got good intentions behind it. Like if you were to, like how would you try to raise the profile of QTV, like really get it out in the open and people can see what you're doing? Like how would you go about it?
I'm trying to do that as much as I can at the moment. We're really trying to push the show on social media because people can watch it around the world. And we've got, picked up a couple of fans in America that are currently watching the show and they love it. So I think social media is a great way for us to do that and speaking to the wider community, speaking to our friends, both in our social networks and our personal networks. And getting mainstream media reporting on it. We've already had a couple of mainstream personalities and publications have been talking about it. So I really want to push that, and I want to get our discussions and the things that happen on our show out being observed and talked about by the general public.
Mm-hmm. Well, no, that was absolutely fascinating, Michael.
Thank you.
We'll have to leave it there. Well, we're going to take a break now, guys, but don't go away. We'll be back with more Showreel.
Hello guys, for those of you just joining us, we have special guest Michael James here with us and we're about to discuss some intriguing recent film news.
That's right, and to start us off, I'd like to know everyone's thoughts on the new Marvel movies. And basically what we have here is Kevin Feige, head of Marvel Film Studios. He's cleared up a lot of rumours regarding the Iron Man franchise. And he said he'd be willing to recast the character of Tony Stark in the same manner as James Bond. So what do you guys think of that, with Iron Man being recast James Bond style, getting rid of Robert Downey Jr.? I mean,
I don't know. I think I'm surprised Iron Man's made it to 3 films already. Yeah. Like I just kind of think that I thought they were going to be going for a token film from all the Marvel films, and to see it get out to 3, I think where else can you go with this? Like to keep casting it with Bond, there's only so many times you can save the world and stop the bad guys and whatnot.
See, I'd maybe take it from an actor's view. Actors can have their own take on characters, and I think maybe it could work if they have different characters cast.
Yeah, I think with like Marvel though, they've built up like a sort of a shared universe. They've got all the other characters like Thor, Captain America and stuff, and they want to keep that going. Like strike while the iron's hot. Just milk off all these franchises and keep it going. But then again, Robert Downey Jr., you could argue he essentially made these Marvel films because when the first Iron Man came out, no one was expecting it to be that huge. But then, it was like unexpected hit. They thought it was going to crap, another superhero movie. But they actually built off it with those, other Marvel movies. And Robert Downey Jr., everyone loved him in the role. So I think, it would be probably a big loss for them. But I was also reading recently, he got $50 million for Avengers.
Wow.
Yeah, and compare that to that's just, I know, I mean, if I had just $1 million, I'd be set for life. But this guy $50 million, and his cast members apparently they only get like around like 2 million or 2.5 million, nowhere near what he's getting. So I don't know. He's obviously happy in the bank.
Yeah, he's certainly got the power play, and I think
Yeah,
for that too, it indicates how much his level of popularity is.
Yeah.
I think they'd just be shooting themselves in the foot if they try and do another one without him.
Yeah, it's true. And I think it also comes down maybe, do you reckon, with the superhero films, like we mentioned it, there's been so many this past decade. Do you think maybe audiences might get a bit flamed out from too many? And it's like, well, who cares? It's just another, save the world plot. Do you think that takes into account, what's happening, or?
Yeah, they're going to be flogging a dead horse at some point. Like, they're going to run out of comics and they're going to run out of sequels. They're going to lay it off.
Sick of seeing that.
But then again, recently, Iron Man 3 just made, I think last time I checked, it was over 700 million at the box office, and they're predicting it might make 1.3 billion. So obviously there is still the audience there. So I don't know. It's just, I don't know. It'd be interesting to see where they go, Marvel. I mean, whether they'll last long or not, I don't know. But yeah.
On another interesting news topic, Zach Braff, or we might know him better as Dr. John Dorian of Scrubs, has put himself on Kickstarter to get his a new movie up and going for himself. Now, it's caused a bit of drama because Zach Braff obviously makes a fair bit of money himself, and there's a lot of people against him putting himself on there up against, struggling or aspiring filmmakers. What do we think of these guys?
Yeah, I think people give him a bit much of a hard rap there. He was on a TV show, and that show ended how many years ago now? TV show actors are paid considerably less than movie stars, and it was $2 million. And I can imagine, he's got a substantial amount of money, but $2 million is a big chunk out of that. And it's a big gamble to go and spend your own money on. So if people want to pay the $2 million to see the film, then good on him. That's great that he's done it. It's not like we're talking the guy that earned 50 million here who's gone to ask people for 2 million. I think there's a distinct difference there.
He could ask Robert Downey Jr. like 10 times, I could just have a whole film series out of it, give me 2 million each. But yeah, then again, I don't know, I heard from what I was reading, he wanted final say over the product, but they wouldn't allow him, so that's why it sort of forced him to do this. So I can understand sort of an artist's perspective, he wants, his film to be made his way, but you got all those producers and stuff, getting in the way. I mean, would you agree with that? Or?
Yeah, that's definitely right. In my opinion, he's sat there with finances for his movie, and they've said to him, "You won't get a say in the final cut." And he's wanting to film make as well. So he's gone out and said, "Well, I want to make my own decisions. I'll find a way to fund it."
Yeah, no, I definitely support him. But actually, on a more positive note, Warner Brothers has now won the rights to adapt the Dungeons and Dragons movie. What do we think of these video game adaptations? Is it more or less the same as superhero films, or are you generally excited for it?
Oh, I really think you're stretching it. Like, some video game adaptations you can, but some...
I know.
All I see with them doing with Dungeons and Dragons is like some sort of extended Lord of the Rings style film. We're gonna see fighting and little people and knives and dwarves and I think it's a bit of a stretch of the imagination.
Yeah, I think so as well. And I noticed, Hollywood, they treat it as like a merchandise spin-off, sort of like the superheroes in the early days. I mean, superhero films like Dark Knight, Avengers, they sort of overcome that, barrier. Like, critics liked it and stuff. But I think with video game adaptations, they still haven't taken it really seriously. And they maybe, there has to be someone out there to, sort of look into the material seriously. But then again, you got Super Mario getting adapted into a film. I mean, what can you do with that, saving a princess with mushrooms? I mean, I think they're just grasping through the straws,
It's really been milked out.
Yeah.
Now, just quickly, episode 7 of the mega space opera Star Wars is beginning filming in 2014. And J.J. Abrams, who has also done Star Trek, is directing both of these. Now, it'll be interesting to see if there's any aesthetic differences or whether we're going to see his directing style in both of them. Do you think he's going to make a big enough difference
I think,
for the fans?
Yeah, I think with Star Trek and Star Wars, they got a very strong cult fan bases, and he sort of has to really kind of, analyze what he has to do to please them, but also the greater audience as well. But I think, he's a tried and true director. He's, done a lot of good franchises. I think he'll be all right with it. I think, as long as it's not George Lucas directing it, in front of a blue screen, the whole film, I think it'll be all right. But would you agree, or?
Look, I think if he knows his audience well,
Yep.
and he can address what his audience needs and that fan base properly while still putting his own stamp on it, he'll do it right. I mean, when you look at the Harry Potter series and you see that they had that change of directors, and you hit film 3 and you see a very different film that still fulfills that needs for its audience in the first 2. And if you can see somebody that can do that across those 2 very different films, and I think he might just pull it off, or he's going to anger a lot of people. So
yeah, I definitely agree. Like, it's more about capturing the original spirit, but just adding a little new taste to it. You know, like with new directors adding their vision. And I think they did that with the original Star Wars. You know, Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi. They did that, you know, to George Lucas's films, and it worked out very well. But yeah.
So all very interesting, guys. I'm going to have to cut us off there. We'll be back shortly, and Tony and I will be becoming film critics and review some of the newest movies on the big screen.
Welcome back. For this segment, Lauren and I will be reviewing some newly released films. With all the recent talk about J.J. Abrams tackling on 2 iconic sci-fi franchises, I thought it'd be fitting if I review his latest work, Star Trek Into Darkness. Have a look.
You think your world is safe. It is not.
This could just be the beginning. He's a fugitive and I want to take him out.
Let's go! You have no idea what you've done.
I will make you answer for what you did.
Star Trek Into Darkness, coming soon in 3D.
The Starship Enterprise, laser guns, and Klingons. These iconic trademarks of the Star Trek franchise make their long-awaited return in the J.J. Abrams directed film Star Trek Into Darkness. After 4 long years, Trekkies finally get to enjoy another installment in the long-running franchise. The 12th entry in the series sees Captain Quirk, Spock, and the Enterprise crew on a mission to capture John Harrison, a ruthless fugitive waging destruction within the Federation. During their journey, internal conflicts arise between Kirk and his crew in a time of peril against a very dangerous foe. Story aside, the CGI, editing, cinematography, and the soundtrack are second to none, complementing the spectacular action sequences alongside Abrams' trademark lens flare. Joining the original cast are Peter Weller, Alice Eve, and most notably Benedict Cumberbatch, who portrays Harrison with a riveting, show-stealing performance. Star Trek Into Darkness is another exciting film in the storied franchise that aims to please both die-hard Trekkies and casual fans who may have only a fleeting interest in the series, pun intended. The screenplay, written by Roberto Orci, Alex Kurtzman, and Damon Lindelof, offers a perfect blend of action, humor, and adventure. Complement it with an interstellar cast, and you have an awesome receipt for a fun blockbuster. Go see it.
Now, I've decided to go on the totally different end of things. From Tony, who's done a sci-fi, I will actually be reviewing a romantic comedy, The Big Wedding.
The tables are set. The guests have arrived. But before the ring goes on,
Piece of wedding advice, kid. Stay single as long as you can.
the gloves come off.
My ex-wife is here.
Oh, God.
This is gonna go great.
On April 26th,
You really love me.
I do.
they have their whole lives in front of them.
We're very excited for the wedding.
Have you been successful thus far being intimate?
Excuse me, sir?
I'm kidding.
If they can only survive the weekend.
I swear, Dawn. What is going on with your family?
Would somebody just punch me in the face again?
Robert De Niro, Katherine Heigl, Diane Keaton, Amanda Seyfried, Topher Grace, with Susan Sarandon and Robin Williams.
You were in love with him from the first time I introduced you. Well, then why didn't you just run me over with your car or something? You were my best friend.
Can we please just skip to the happy ending?
Ring, ring. Blah, 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 blah.
At least no one will ever forget it.
The Big Wedding, rated R, starts April 26th.
This 90-minute rom-com sees a long-divorced couple fake being married as their family unites for a wedding. The Big Wedding is an adaptation of the 2006 French-language comedy Mon Frère c'est Marie. It's a breezy wedding farce punctuated with casual profanity, geriatric sexuality, and just a dash of nudity. This R-rated movie is absolutely star-studded, casting Robert De Niro, Diane Keaton, and Susan Sarandon as the three leads. Not to mention Katherine Heigl, Robin Williams and Amanda Seyfried thrown in there as well. Writer and director Justin Zackham awkwardly blends feel-good pablum and raunchy sex jokes to create a fun take on a modern dysfunctional family uniting. In some ways, the movie's theme of accepting our families despite their imperfections is a positive one that's worth considering. Although the storyline is a tad far-fetched and at some points extremely predictable, The Big Wedding is an easy watch and stirs a fair few laughs throughout. Also, how can you not have fun watching De Niro cursing his way through a Catholic confession to a priest played by Robin Williams? If that sounds like your idea of a fun film, then odds are you'll enjoy blushing your way through The Big Wedding.
Well, those movies are definitely on the opposite sides of the spectrum, don't you think?
Yeah, they are. I have just never been a lover of sci-fi, never gotten into Star Trek or Star Wars, but you know, what do you reckon, Michael? What would you rather go see?
I'm down the line because I'm a little bit of a geek on one side, and I also like a good rom-com as well. And for yours, I'm big fans of some of those names there. Robin Williams and Susan Sarandon particularly. I love Susan Sarandon back in Rocky Horror Picture Show. I love her current work that she's been doing on the big C. Like, she's always a draw card for me. Love to see her. But the film, it sounds like a kind of meeting of It's Complicated versus Meet the Parents and Meet the Fockers, and that movie that Robin Williams did about being a priest who married the couple. Like, it just seems like a bit of a mashup, and it just seems a bit too tried and tested for me. And I think people will go there to see it for those actors, and you'll get a good couple of laughs out of it, but it's not going to be the movie of the year that I'm going to write home about or go and buy it after I've seen it.
What about Star Trek though? I mean, you've obviously, I've heard you said you liked a bit of it as a kid.
Yeah, I mean, I've always been a bit of a sci-fi fan, but not so much with the Star Trek and Star Wars films, but fleeting casual fan. Big draw card for me there is Zachary Quinto.
Yeah, oh, brilliant. Yeah, love
Zachary Quinto. He's one of my favourite actors at the moment, and particularly since he came out a couple of years ago, it's always been a draw card for me to go and support actors like that. And his work in Heroes a few years back as well was just stunning.
So they had to end that show.
I know.
One of the best seasons, and then they're just typical network television.
Yeah,
but yeah,
they're talking about bringing it back for a web series actually.
Nice. Well, I'll keep my eye on that one.
Yeah.
But with the Star Trek in particular, like for our viewers, I highly recommend you see this. You're getting good actors like Zachary Quinto, Chris Pine, all these guys. And it's just a really good film to spend your Sunday afternoon. And I just, I never even liked Star Trek before the reboot. You know how before this one they had in 2009 the reboot of Star Trek, they restarted it. Before that, I never was a fan of it at all. But like J.J. Abrams, he directed that so well. It actually got me into it, and that's why I came and saw this one. He really made.
Have you gone back and watched them all now?
No, I don't have the time, but yeah, I'll compare and contrast with them. But yeah, no, I thought these new ones are basically everything the Star Wars prequels should have been. Good script, good actors, everything. Would you ever pop by and see that? Or I know you say you're not. Yeah.
I think it is time, especially with all the generated, like the brilliant movie going that's happening. I would really like to. I wouldn't mind seeing some of them.
Yeah, I don't know, like with your one, The Big Wedding, I mean, rom-coms, you basically hit the nail on the head. I mean, it's sort of been overexposed and stuff, but then again, Robert De Niro and all these other big names, I mean, you can't say no to that. And you barely even see the guy anymore in these films.
Yeah.
He doesn't act as much.
I think they're kind of doing, like, there's that movie that came out recently, movie 53 or something, where they just brought in like 50 big name celebrities to just do these rehashed extreme gags. And I think that's where some of these rom-coms are going, is they're going, let's get the biggest names that we can and let's get them to do really crass and really funny and outrageous things, and that's really going to make this film. And I think that's like the industry's just kind of peaking at that point in that rom-com genre now, where there's no room for new people, and it's like, let's bring in the old big names and get them to do crazy stuff.
Yeah, lots of bringing in tricks. They're trying to get all the tricks into one movie to make it
Yeah.
Very
I always liked
brilliant.
Love Actually. I thought that one did it pretty well. You know, the British one?
Yeah.
That was actually executed really well, big names. I thought it was really good.
Yeah, I think when the
But,
films just wind it back down and take it back to a really good storyline with some basic jokes and some really good characters, I think that's where you're going to get success out of these sorts of films now.
I agree.
That's right,
Yep.
Michael. Now, we've run out of time for today, but make sure you catch us same time and place next week.
And don't forget to follow Showreel on Twitter and Facebook. Bye for now.